One of the reasons I make YouTube videos is to focus my own mind and force me to take ideas from general feelings or amorphous concepts and drill them down into a rational expression that I can use as a filtering mechanism to make decisions. Over time, I want my decisions and my labor to move me closer and closer to a platonic form of what I think is the optimal experience. Even if I can't reach that perfection, it can serve as a guiding light. The mechanical designs of individual games are just tools. Your choice of tool can vary depending on the exact goal in mind, and that's why defining a goal is important. When someone says, "I love this game," what they often mean is, "This game consistently produces outcomes that I enjoy." And since the desired outcomes are unspoken and undefined, it's very hard for people to even discuss these issues coherently. As I talked about in my praxis videos, I am more interested in specific experiences. What do I want out of this campaign? How can I reliably create that with a product so that it can be shared with other people? So I'm going to present a framework to describe exactly what I want and how I'm going to get it. First, I am interested in long-term campaigns, consistent week-to-week experiences where a group of players can get together for social interaction, and that has never been more important than it is now, when we're living in a disconnected, impersonal world. Quality human interactions are a critical element of what I want out of role-playing games. And that's not to say you can't have a great convention game or a module intended to provide a few sessions of play. But that is not my optimum goal state. I want a campaign, and it doesn't have to last forever, but the design elements need to be oriented towards making it as easy and enjoyable as possible to run over a long period of time. And I want the campaign to happen in a vast world that feels like a real place. Even when you include magic or technology that breaks the laws of physics, the resulting composition should still be reliable. Everything should work together in a coherent fabric that makes sense. Just on its own, I want the world to be its own character in the game, a place that is intrinsically interesting to explore. Perhaps the realist part of our own world is that it is challenging in its own right, something to grapple with and take seriously. It's not a cartoonish place where you do whatever the hell you want and there are no consequences. And that's not to say you can't occasionally have things go off into comedy territory, but I don't want the entire world to be comedy territory. I want a world that feels like a real place, even if it is fantastical. And I want it to be filled with a unique and intriguing mix of opposition. Unique in that they are actually innovative, not just an endless rehash of cliche concepts we've all seen a million times, and intriguing in that they are unpredictable and leave the players wondering what's going to happen next. And in addition to the opposition, there should be surprising and unexpected events. Players should have moments of confusion and struggle to figure out what's really going on, and they should be caught off guard by just the random nature of life itself. All of these factors have to come together in a way that creates a wide range of player choices, and they have to be interesting and exciting choices, and sometimes the players have to face a loss as a result of their decisions. There shouldn't be one final outcome or expected solution to the whole campaign. Everything shouldn't converge on a single point because that tempts the GM to fiddle with the game to get to that specific outcome. Player choices should explode the game experience outward, creating more possibilities, not less. And the outcome of player choices in the campaign should advance the PCs toward goals that they set for themselves. There shouldn't be a cosmic conspiracy that will stop them no matter what they do and push them in a particular direction. Deep in the campaign, the PCs should have more power and capability than they had at the beginning. And that means there should be things in the world that you do need great power and capability to defeat. And everything I just described needs to take place in a fair and consistent manner. While we can't ensure every GM is going to make the best decisions, we can avoid conditions or situations that are likely to result in arbitrary decisions. So in the products that I buy and in the products that I create, These are my desired outcomes. And as a GM, I'm stuck here in the middle, serving as a prism that translates game content into game outcomes in real time at the table. I think about how to manage or reduce that load every day so that hopefully at some point, Chubby Funster, the GM, has less to do because Chubby Funster, the creator, has figured out how to bridge the gap ahead of time. Rather than change something to fit what I want it to already be what I want. So how do we consistently create these outcomes by design? The rest of this video is going to be my current theory on how to do this, but I'm open to suggestion. Please let me know if you have a way to get even closer to perfection. First, you need a vision of an interesting world. This is difficult to quantify by nature. I'm afraid I can't help you there, but you have to have a vision. Then you translate that vision into a map. I like Alexander Macree's concept of lawful, neutral, and chaotic zones to create layered depth, but I think that has to be applied as radial points on the map to give the campaign a sense of scale. No matter where you go, there's going to be interesting things happening elsewhere that you hear about. And this will create a sense of vastness and scale, of great expanses of dangerous territory. If the players are stuck within a relatively small geographic area, you have to find increasingly ridiculous ways to suppress their agency as they grow powerful and force them to remain where you want them to be. One of the reasons I'm not a huge fan of mega dungeons, even very cool and interesting ones, is that it seems unrealistic to me that the players are going to keep going down in one location over and over again without losing interest. So I think you need a big canvas, but there's an upper bound, and I don't know how much is too much, so I'm still working that out. So then on your map, you create these pockets of civilization with rising danger radiating outward. And then within those zones, you drop in dungeons, sites, locations, whatever you want to call them, each of varying size, but aiming for a sweet spot of maybe 2 to 3 delves each time to explore it fully. These places serve as hard points that the GM can be familiar with in advance and drop hints about to the players. And with this mix of information about the range of locations, the players have a lot of choices about how to proceed. And a gazetteer of information on the civilized locations so that the players can abandon and go to another area if they get stuck or they want a change of scenery. And you use random tables between these hard points to ensure that nothing is ever certain. Moving even between two known places, there's going to be risk. The world seems alive. And this is also true when you begin diving into these places. A bit of randomization is essential to driving surprising and interesting events. So you want to build a character creation system. Even if it has familiar ideas, they need to seem different in this world. And you need to have a rule framework with known player-facing mechanics to create consistency and provide expectations of how things are going to work, so that the GM isn't adapting the game chassis to your world. You have already done that. And they don't have to manage the disconnect between the core system and your particular setting. I've discovered a few products that are really close to these ideals, and I use them as inspiration in my own work and in combination with older settings that I enjoy and the settings that some people admire today, even if they aren't my cup of tea. Almost all of my YouTube videos have been about what insight can be extracted and used for this optimization. I've been working toward these goals for a long time, even if I couldn't articulate them clearly. I haven't made as many videos lately because I have been writing, and I've been using these ideals to guide that writing. And with my revisions to Shadowsun, maybe it would have been better to start with just one section and then develop outward from there, but that's not really how I think. Shadowsun was already published 3 years ago, so I had the whole world anyway. But I can't create everything simultaneously. So I'm making these two core books first to clearly define the world and the mechanics first. And then I'm going to drill down to dungeons and stuff like specific NPCs next. If you're interested in learning more, check out the free quick starts available on DriveThruRPG. Go to my Kickstarter preview page and ask to be notified when the Kickstarter goes live. And if you join my Patreon, you can see individual concepts roll off the assembly line for commentary and feedback almost every day. Links are in the description. Chubby Funster, out.